Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Chess Nerd. I've been planning this video out for 10 days, so I'm super excited to share everything with you in this video. Today we'll be talking about why I'm taking a break from analysis of the Zürich International Chess Tournament of 1953 by David Bronstein after completing 18 rounds of analysis out of 28, and instead I'll be taking up the 4th Candidates Chess Tournament of 1959 by Harry Golombek instead. So super excited to share everything with you in this video, and this video will hopefully explain detail by detail why I'm making this choice. As some of you guys may know, my reputation in the chess community stands way taller on Instagram as the Chess Nerd. I have accumulated over 7,500 followers over the past 2 years, and it's been my main channel for content. In fact, it's where everything began, the whole Chess Nerd. I started the channel off with the sole motivation of completing the analysis of one chess book, the 210-game Zürich International Chess Tournament of 1953. It was a tournament filled with 15 of the best chess players at the time, all competing to challenge the current world champion at the time, with the crown on his head, Mikhail Botvinnik. And number 2, I wanted to start sharing my new chess set that I had received for Christmas. I started the channel on January 2nd, and I had received my chess set, my brand new first wooden chess set, December 25th. So I would start my journey off and post at least one position from every single game on Instagram as proof to myself that I had completed the analysis of that game, just for self-satisfaction. Now at first my pictures were ugly, not even well framed, disgusting, but people believed in me. I mean, you guys, you believed in me, and that's what kept me going, honestly. Also for the self-satisfaction of proving myself that I could finish the analysis of one chess game, but mainly you guys. For 2 reasons I started sharing on Instagram. Number 1, I wanted to discipline myself in chess and go cover to cover and complete one entire chess book. I mean, look, I didn't even know that this is what a used chess book looks like. It's all scrapped. It's all, look at the corners, it's all. And so over time, I started bringing my chess pieces and my chess boards along for trips, and I expanded to chess problems on the side. My pictures even got prettier, and finally I surrendered and I started making memes. Also on the side, but it was still a big part of my content. I mean, it attracted the comedic side of chess to my audience that my Instagram for sure needed. With all the added features, over time, slowly but surely, I lost track of the analysis of Zürich 1953 and became inconsistent when posting about game per game and starting to finish rounds. Now, mind you, I've completed 18 rounds. That's over 115 games easily, but it's still nowhere near the end. I scrolled back on my Instagram page, and in the past half year, I figured out that I only completed 2 rounds of the analysis of Zürich International Chess Tournament, which before was more like 2 rounds per month, to put that in context, and that's how I knew that I was losing interest little by little. And so I remember discovering a much more fresh and interesting tournament last year in the book that I purchased wildly off Amazon, and I just fell in love with the concept of the tournament. There was more analysis, there was more context before the rounds, where the players were situated, there was more context pre-games. Everything just added up, and I kept that in the back of my mind, and then in the past few weeks, I have decided to officially take up the analysis of the 4th Candidates Chess Tournament. It's an exceptional tournament with you'll see in this video. So the concept is, Zurich isn't entirely gone. I will still be alternating from round to round between both tournaments. So I'll do one of Zurich, and then one round of 1959, and then another round of Zurich. So that hasn't changed. It's just you'll see Zurich less often. For the OG fans who are afraid of missing Zurich, 1959 may have as many rounds, so 28, but it only has 4 games per round compared to Zurich with 7, so you'll be seeing Zurich way more often than 1959. It's just you won't be seeing it as much as before. The next 3 segments of this video explains why I chose this tournament in particular over every other tournament in the 20th century. I found this one the most interesting, and I'm about to share that with you. So why? Why did I choose this one? Being a candidates tournament, the goal of this tournament was to determine who was gonna finish first place to challenge the standing world champion Mikhail Botvinnik the following year in 1960. In other words, who of our 8 participants would be the fittest to try to dethrone the world champion. This was a rare tournament set in no less than 3 cities in former Yugoslavia that spanned over the course of 56 days compared to Zurich's 55, but then Zurich had 15 participants, this one only had 8. So it's reasonable that this one is a much longer tournament for the number of participants it has, right? The tournament took place in September 7th to October 29th, which is a bit less than 2 months, and was played in 3 cities: Bled, Slovenia, well, modern Slovenia, Zagreb, Croatia, and Belgrade, Serbia, all Yugoslavia at the time, obviously. Our new tournament has a really cool format, so it's a tournament system that's called the double round robin. And so it consists in every single player playing every single player 4 times, 2 with white and then 2 with black. So the prizes of the tournament go as such. So the first prize wins 600,000 Kuwaiti dinars, which is about 1,000 USD at the time, and then adjusted for inflation, that's about 9,000 US dollars. Second place won 400,000 dinars, which is about 5,700 US dollars today. Third place would win 275,000 dinars, which equals about 4,000 US dollars today. Fourth place wins 200,000 dinars, which equals to 2,900 US dollars today. Fifth place, 140,000, which is 2,000 today. Sixth place, 100,000 dinars, which is 1,500 US dollars today. And seventh and eighth place won each 70,000 dinars, which is about 1,000 US dollars today. Surely the purchasing power was different at the time, and with inflation, it's probably a bit more than the estimated inflation I just said here, but still pretty good tournament prizes. So now we're moving on to our second segment, the players. Who was this tournament about? Who was playing in it? Why? This is why I love this tournament. It's the players are just so good. Like I'm passionate about this. Like there's no passing by. It's crazy. Like, okay, you're about to see it. Unlike Zurich that had more veterans and fresh talent, the fourth candidates tournament had a beautiful balance between its older players, so 38, 36, 43 even. Paul Keres was 43 when he played, and its younger talents. So like Bobby Fischer was 16 when he played his first candidates to this tournament. You have Mikhail Tal, who was 22 at the time. Friedrich Olafsson, who was 24. So you have a great balance here in the ages of the players, and you can see the contrast in the play that's given there between those players. So it's really interesting. So now moving on to describe player by player that was involved in the tournament. So we're gonna start with the obvious number one choice that I would start with, Bobby Fischer, USA champion at 16 now for 2 years, which is unheard of. Like USA champion at 14 years old is bananas. And now he's 16 years old. He's not even peaked yet, not even close. But his biggest flaw is that he's lacking serious experience in long tournaments like these, like 56 days. He's never played as long as tournaments as these, and he has very little experience on the international scene as well. He has performed very well domestically in his country, but outside the US, Bobby Fischer has still a lot to prove on the international scene. Secondly, we have Michael Tal, who was also on fire before the tournament. So before 1959, in 1958, the Portoroz Interzonal Tournament, the one that was used to qualify for the 1959 candidates, Michael Tal finished first place by far ahead in Portoroz and qualified with ease. So he is definitely, even though he's 22 years old, he's definitely a top seed in this tournament. And his tactical play and his juicy moves and his sacrifices, his so exotic play will be new, so new and fresh in this tournament that I can't wait to see what he brings. I know nothing about this tournament in terms of which games are famous, so we'll see when Tal unleashes his brilliance in those games. I can't wait to analyze those. Our third youngest player by age is Friedrich Olafsson from Iceland. Actually, the first ever Grandmaster from Iceland, which is a feat. We call him Mr. President because later he became the FIDE president from 1978 to 1982, I believe. So yeah. And last year at the Portoroz to qualify for 1959 Yugoslavia, Friedrich Olafsson finished 5th out of 21 players, which is quite a feat. And at his age, it's quite impressive. But still, he's standing at a lower seed. He's less of a favorite in this tournament coming in compared to the experienced players and the talented players that he's up against. Next in the age group, we have Tigran Petrosian and Palbenko, 30 and 31 years old. Tigran Petrosian was in Zurich, actually, Zurich 1953, the tournament I analyzed on my Instagram channel. He finished 5th, which you're not supposed to know yet, but this is just for background, for context. He played really well. He had a streak of 4 wins once in Zurich. He was on fire. So Petrosian is known as a defensive god. He loses very few games, makes very few mistakes. So it'll be intriguing to see how he pairs up against attacking players such as Michael Tal or Bobby Fischer even. I can't wait to see this, like a defense god against an attacking god. What's gonna happen? Like, who's gonna win? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, very excited. And so then we have Palbenko, who's Hungarian. He's one of the 2 local players in the tournament. Rest in peace to Palbenko, who we lost last year. August 26th, 2019. Rest in peace, Palbenko. Palbenko is the endgame genius. So whenever it's an endgame, if it's an equal endgame, Palbenko has the better chance of winning that endgame just because it's his #1 talent. Now we have the 3 veterans, 3 players that were also in Zurich 1953. Granted, Tigran Petrosian was also in Zurich 1953, but he was only a mere 24-year-old at the time, so he was kind of young. These guys are old, like I'm talking well over their peaks, and it's so crazy to just see like that level of age compared to like Bobby Fischer, who's 16, barely out of the womb, you know? We have the second local player, Svetozar Grigoric, who's from Belgrade. The last third of the tournament will be in his hometown, Belgrade, Serbia. Grigoric had a pretty miserable time at Zurich 1953, which he partook in. He finished in the bottom third, I think. Not too good, but he's consistent, and he was really good for about 40 years in the top 10s there. So Svetozar Grigoric, a very solid player overall, and I have high hopes for him. Second, we have Vasily Smyslov, 38 years old, also played in Zurich, finished first actually in Zurich. He won Zurich, and he got to play Mikhail Botvinnik again, for World Champion, but he lost, unfortunately. But Smyslov became World Champion after that, only for a winter. That's why he's surnamed the Winter King. He only got to keep his World Championship title one winter, which is kind of sad, but he's the only ex-world champion coming into this tournament. So we have 3 world champions after this tournament, and we have 1 ex-world champion that's coming into this tournament trying to retrieve the world champion title. And finally, we have Paul Keres, the oldest one of the group, 43 years old. Was old in Zurich, is still old coming into this Yugoslavian chess tournament. The Estonian player, I think, finished 5th in Zurich. Very, very strong player and consistent like Gligoric and Smyslov. Very, very good players. I'm just intrigued. I just want to see these games, you know? What's gonna conflict? What's gonna contrast? Because there's so much contrast. It's hard to say what's gonna arise from this. The following is a spoiler alert, so if you don't want to know this, it's going to spoil the tournament. So if you don't want to know this, just skip ahead 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So Mikhail Tal won this tournament. He finished 1st, and he got to play Mikhail Botvinnik for world champion, and he defeated Mikhail Botvinnik, and he was world champion for a year after this. So this tournament led Mikhail Tal to beat world champion Mikhail Botvinnik. Next up, we have Tigran Petrosian, who went on to become world champion from 1963 to 1969, 4 years later. You know, honestly, so good defensive, probably one of the best defensive players of all time. So solid out there. You'll see that he's not peaked yet in this tournament. He finishes 3rd, but you see that his performance is already better than Zurich, and in Portoroz he finished 3rd to qualify. He's on a very like inclined mountain, and he's just running up there. He's getting there. So we're seeing this in Petrosian's play. He's getting mature in his play, and it's getting way better for him. And finally, our last world champion of the tournament is Bobby Fischer. 13 years later, plays in 1972 during the Cold War. He plays Boris Spassky and defeats the world champion Boris Spassky for the world championship title, which he will maintain for 3 years. So now that we know about the tournament, about the players, now it's time to know about the book, because the book in and of itself is a feat. This book is particularly interesting because it was written by Harry Golombek. Harry Golombek was a British champion many times over. He knew all the players in this tournament, and he conversed with them as well multiple times. And what's really interesting is that he has kind of an insider look from our perspective, the spectators, as he was the chief arbiter of the tournament, overlooking the play. So in terms of insider information, Golombek offers everything detailed to the place they played, the feelings of the players before the rounds, the fact that Mikhail Tal had his appendix removed 2 weeks before the tournament and still had butt pain coming into the tournament. So all these little details that it just adds spices to the tournament. Contrarily, in David Bronste's book, it's exclusively an analysis, which is it's really good because the analysis is really solid and it's one of the best analysis books ever, but he falls short on the details of the tournaments, of the players, that 15 players that was so interesting. He just missed out a lot on that extra groovy information that we get in this candidate's book. This book is also edited by David Regis, who is a prolific author and very well known for editing tournament books. In fact, he also edited Budapest 1950 edited by David Regis, which is the first candidates tournament ever. So I think he's perfectly qualified to edit such a book. And he even says so in the beginning of the book as the editor. He says there's so little to edit because Harry Golombek was there and witnessed everything. And it's factual, it's made with so much love and passion, this book, that it's undeniably one of the best compared to Zurich. Okay, so now it's time to compare these two books. What's so different between them? So first of all, Zurich has 210 games, which is a lot of games. dispersed over 28 rounds, 7 games per round. It's a huge book. It's like 300 pages, and I'm at 200 pages after 18 rounds, which is it's absurd. The Candidates Tournament, also 28 rounds, only 4 games per round. It's also pretty big. I mean, it's like 300 pages too. In fact, the 4th Candidates Tournament of 1959 only has 112 games compared to Zurich's 210. And I know what you're saying, Zurich has so many more games, how is it not better, the more the merrier? That's false. There's such a thing as Grandmaster draws, which is short draws, short uneventful draws that often happen in Zurich. Let me tell you, about 50% of the games in here are bullshit draws where David Bronstein almost doesn't even annotate anything. As much as I love this book, it has flaws. Quick draws by 2 Soviet players often happens in this book. Nothing to hide here. And Golumbik reports in the first few pages that there is almost no Grandmaster draws in here. Everybody was going eye for an eye. That's what's so crazy. Everybody was going for a win. He even said that Petrosian played some of his most aggressive chess in his career. And if you know Tigran Petrosian, you know he's not an attack player. He's very defensive. So everybody was out there for blood, and you can see this in the style of play and the general sense of the tournament, which is quite rare. Finally, Golumbik's book has many diagrams, description of events, description of players, psychology of the players coming into the rounds. All great information that just adds to the experience of looking into the event. So, that's it for this book. Oh, and of course, so now I mentioned the 3 parts, the 3 reasons of why I'm starting to analyze this book. The 4th bonus reason, let's say, is that now I can finally use my Zagreb chess pieces. So I bought the reproduction of the pieces that were used in this tournament, and I'm really excited to use them. They're really nice, and you'll see them on Instagram. They'll be all over the place. I'll play with these pieces more than anything. And I'm really excited that it will just add to the spices of the tournament, the experience, the overall cultural effect of having the pieces matching the tournament pieces. So yeah, I'm very excited for that too. So if you're not following yet, I would highly suggest to go follow my Instagram page on Instagram if you want to see the analysis of this daily. Look, I'm not gonna hide you anything. I changed tournaments because this is juicy. This is juicy stuff. It's gonna be only great games, experience against unexperienced, attacking versus defensive. It's gonna be a cultural mix, a potion, a soup, a large soup with many ingredients. So that's what I'm looking forward to analyze. And if you're just a fraction as much passionate as I am for this, I would highly advise you to follow me on my Instagram page, at the Chess Nerd on Instagram. And don't be sorry if you're just here on YouTube, because I am planning to analyze on YouTube right here in videos in the future this book, the big book of World Chess Championships. And it says here from Steinitz to Carlsen. This is really exciting. Basically, I'll go from chess champion to chess champion over the years, and we're gonna go together on the journey of chess history. So this is something to look forward to on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Any comments, any thoughts, any suggestions, I would love them. And if you enjoyed the video, I always love to hear feedback, whether it's bad or good. Please like the video for the algorithm, subscribe, follow my Instagram channel, and for some quirky tweets, follow that too. If you made it this far, I can't help but self-promote myself. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, weekend. You stay safe from the coronavirus, and see you next time.